Now, the Trump administration is continuing on its promise to crack down on illegal immigration. Now, one example of this, and some of the ways that they're doing it, is pretty draconian, but hey, that's what they promised, right? Now, the newest news to come out of that is what Donald Trump is doing, and it relates to an earlier decision by Jeff Sessions. Now, Sessions came out with a plan to basically, not to really sugarcoat it, but basically he's going to rip families apart if they are caught crossing the southern border. Now, he said in a speech last week that, quote, "If you're smuggling a child, then we're going to prosecute you, and that child will be separated from you, probably as required by law." Now, wait a minute, smuggling a child? What is this? No, this is somebody who's basically, these are refugees, essentially, from mostly Central America that are fleeing violence and death, drug gangs and stuff like that. But no, we're going to call it smuggling to make it sound really bad. Okay, well, that's what they're doing. Now, Sessions added, "If you don't want your child separated, then don't bring them across the border illegally. It's not our fault that somebody does that. I mean, look, all we're doing is we're taking your kids away. If you didn't want that, you should have been born here, and you should have been rich so that you can pay us off to enter the country." That's essentially what he's saying. Or, of course, look, a lot of Republicans go, but you just need to come in the legal way. You need to come in the right way. Okay, well, maybe we should address our broken immigration system then. It can take up to 30 years to successfully become an American citizen. And look, that is incredibly broken. And from these, and for these people that are running from violence and drug gangs and death in their home countries, like, for example, in Honduras, which is the murder capital of the world, well, good luck not getting murdered if you're sent back to that country. Oh, but don't worry, you're in line at least. You're in line for America. Oh, looks like you're dead. Now I guess we have an empty place in line now. It's gross. Now, if that's not bad enough, now they're breaking up their, since they're breaking up the families, now they're going to send the kids to military camp. I'm not kidding. And not just military camp, but military detention. Now, according to an email notification sent to Pentagon staffers, the Department of Health and Human Services, the HHS, will make site visits at 4 military installations in Texas and Arkansas during the next couple of weeks to evaluate their suitability to, quote, shelter children. Shelter. I love how they're putting an Orwellian twist on this. No, we're just going to go to these military bases and we're going to shelter the children in them. So, understand, these are children of, people who are foreign born, of course. They're going to take those children, they're going to separate them from their families, from their parents, and they're going to stick them in a military camp. God, why does that sound familiar? Who's done that before? Separating families and putting them in camps, interning them with people such as themselves away from everyone else, and they claim it's for their own safety. What has that happened before in this country? I can't remember, but it sounds so familiar. No, in reality, that's what we're doing. These are internment camps for kids. It's gross. Now, Trump officials say that, look, we don't have a choice. Look at all the people that are coming across the border illegally. In fact, they say that there's a lot of Central Americans that are seeking asylum, and we gotta put a stop to that for some reason. And of course, many of them are also just people that are coming over for farm season, harvest season, I should say. Now, U.S. border agents in April, say that they arrested more than 100,000 people who crossed the border illegally. That's the highest monthly total since President Trump took office. So it has increased, but then again, so has the violence in a lot of these Central American countries. And a lot of people are like, I just want to escape with my life. That's all. What we're doing is we're just running from violence and death. And then there are other people, of course, that come in and they work the fields in some of these states like Arizona and Georgia. Now, Trump, of course, is very angry about this, and he basically blames Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen for the increase in people immigrating, which makes no sense to me because that's not her fault. But nonetheless, he has ordered her to close up the border and to cut off migration flows. Well, how do you do that? You don't. You've got no control over that, over who comes to the border. So, look, now, there's a couple of groups of migrants here, right? Again, one, you have the people fleeing the violence in Central America, and then you have your seasonal workers, as I mentioned before. Now, one of those groups plays a vital role in the economy when it comes to farming, and the other is literally fleeing for their lives. So both of them have good reason to want to come over to the United States, right? And both are good reasons for us to be able to take them in. Again, you don't want, well, I mean, most people who have a moral core are like, well, yeah, if they're refugees and they're running from death, then yes, we should be able to do something for them. We have enough space. We do have resources. And look, people that come here as immigrants, they often work really, really hard. And if you gave them a chance, a pathway to citizenship, perhaps, then they could be productive members of our society. However, what we're doing is that we're not doing that. The Trump administration says, no, here's what we're going to do. We're going to separate you from your families, and we're going to stick your kids in an internment camp. All right, then. Not only that, but Nielsen and Attorney General Sessions also say that the government will take the measure of filing criminal charges against anyone who crosses the border illegally, including parents traveling with their children. Now, here's the thing about that. So wait, you don't want these people here, right? So you're going to file charges against them, criminal charges, put them in prison so that they're here. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. So you're going to keep them here in prison because you don't want them here. Look, in reality, this is a way, of course, to fill up for-profit prisons. I mean, think about that. Because for-profit prisons don't want actual hardened criminals. They don't want murderers and rapists. No, what they actually want is people who are not going to cause problems, nonviolent offenders, and immigrants to fill their jails, where they make tons and tons of profit. This is just another way to exploit immigrants who are, as I said before, fleeing from death. Now, as far as this being a deterrent, and this is the last point that I want to make, I don't think this will work. This is not going to deter anybody from coming into the country illegally, because the issues in these other countries, again, if you're fleeing from death, from drug gangs and violence, then you're not going to want to stay in that country. You're going to want to go somewhere else, somewhere that is free, for the most part, of those very issues. Not going to be a deterrent. All this does, really, is just add an unnecessarily extra layer of cruelty to people who have pretty much lost everything. You think these people are coming over there with lots of money in their pockets? No, that's why conservatives hate them. Oh, they're brown. They're bringing in poverty. They're bringing in, they're poor. I mean, of course we don't want them. They're poor and uneducated. Well, that's the whole point, though. They come here because they have no opportunity in their home country. Whereas in America, there still is that opportunity for people to be able to make something of themselves, create jobs, and have a better life and a chance at actual life than in their home country. So these people have already pretty much lost everything. And all we're doing in the Trump administration is make it that much worse for the people who are the least powerful, who have the least power, who have lost the most. It's gross. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.